Hey everyone, it's Jeff Fisher of High School Football America in the NFL Play Football studio. And man, I am just so excited to do this interview. 2012, I got this harebrained idea to do a national ranking like all the big boys did. And we're celebrating our 15th year now. And of course, as everybody knows, NFL Play Football is the unit that powers our rankings. And Coach Tom Westerberg was our first national champ. He's also the coach of the only team that's ever three-peated. And he's in the other box right now. We're going to go down memory lane 15 years ago. Tom, thanks for taking the time today.
Well, I appreciate it. Boy, time flies. 15 years goes by in a hurry.
Doesn't it? I can tell by the gray hair on my hair right now. But let's just kind of go back a little bit and start with what you just said there. Time flies. I mean, just kind of encapsulate if you think back and that run that you guys had for those 3 years and even more because you won what, five titles there. But what comes to your mind? Like what kind of smiles do you get when you think about what you did with the Eagles?
Well, just all the relationships with we had a great coaching staff, and then just all the relationships that you build over those years that you're on that run. You really don't have time to really enjoy it during it because we were coaching football from we had spring football, then you had summer, then you coach all the way through, till December, and then, you get geared back up for a couple of months, and then there you get ready to do it all over again. So you just kind of sit back, and the smiles are all about the relationships and the stories and the fun times that you built over that time.
Yeah, I don't know if people know this, and I didn't either until I started getting to understand the lay of the land of Texas, if you will. But Allen was not always this big, 6A school and all that. I can't remember. Were you there at the beginning? When did you come into play there at the school?
We Joe Martin, Todd Graham was the head coach, and then Joe Martin. I was with Joe Martin for quite a while,
Okay.
and we went from Garland High to Allen, and Garland's just north of Dallas. We went to Allen, and in 2000, and let's see, what year was that? 2000.
Okay.
And so we were there 2001 season, two season, and three season. And I was the offensive coordinator. And then he left to go work for the coaching association in Texas. And when he left, I ended up getting a job in 2004. And
Okay.
so the plan was for them to always have one high school, but I don't know if they knew exactly how big that one high school is. It's only a 25-mile area, square mile area district, so it's not very big
Yeah.
as far as foot size, but it is jam packed with people, and so they made it where there was always going to be one high school. And actually, backstory history is that Lovejoy used to send their kids to Allen K through six.
Okay.
Uh, and then the state kind of stepped in during the spring of when I got the job and said, y'all are either going to have to consolidate into one district or split. And so they decided to split. There was a vote, decided to split. So Lovejoy split off and made their own school district. And so, anyways, it could have been huge, a lot bigger than it is now. But but no, they have always decided it was going to be a one school town. And so I took over in 2004
Okay.
is when, and so I saw it from the growth of from four all the way through 15 when I left.
Yeah, it was it never ceased to amaze me. And now I've got some friends north of there, Anna, Melissa, all those other places up there, and those places seem to be growing as the sprawl continues. So,
Yes.
what do you remember back in those early days? And I'm going to be talking to Joe Martin, by the way, later on this week. We met him in Indianapolis. He's working with the NFL with our stakeholders
Yep.
meeting there. But Joe's a great guy. But what are some of the things that you remember early on there that were kind of the foundation you laid that led to the tremendous success that you had through the years?
I think the consistency of the coaching staff. We had a pretty good nucleus core. We got great support from the administration there, but the core from the coaching staff and their beliefs, and everybody was kind of, we didn't have people pulling off different directions. Everybody was going the same direction. And from summer strength and conditioning to our off-season program. It was the same guy, and so uh, as we as we move forward with the athletes starting to come, and as Allen was growing, we could see it coming through the system, and then then we built the stadium, and then that kind of hit the headlines, and then people accused us of recruiting or something, but it was everybody wanted to come play in that stadium and play at the high level. So they just moved when they moved to Dallas. If a new family moved to Dallas, well, I want to go to Allen, and I'll drive in to work in Dallas. So that was kind of our program was what was recruiting everybody.
Then you just have this run that comes together. And like I said, you were 12, 13, and 14 for us, and you had a little quarterback there. I don't know. I think he's played pretty well since the time with you,
Yeah,
Kyler Murray and all that. What were those years like with Kyler at the helm, and not just about him, because you had an enormous amount of talent.
we did. We won it in 2008, and had a great quarterback and had a great backup quarterback, and because our starting quarterback got hurt, and then we went through 9, 10, and 11, ran into some good teams in the playoffs and didn't win it, and then 2012 we're opening up the stadium, then we're hosting South Lake Carroll, the returning defending state champions, to open the stadium. We'd never beaten them before, and so. And then Kyler moves in late in the summer from Louisville. He moves into Allen, and so it's from that point. It's now he didn't go through our summer program, so he's a backup. We had a young man named Oliver Pierce who was our starting quarterback and had come through our system. Was a receiver for a couple of years while we had another quarterback, Alec Morse, that ended up going to Alabama. And so Oliver was a receiver, moved to quarterback. And then about after we got beat by Coppell in the middle of the year, week 5. And we had an open week and decided to go with Kyler. Kyler had played in all the games, and Oliver went back to receiver. And if it wouldn't have been for the person that he is, he could have split the team up basically, because there were people that were wanting him to be the quarterback. Whenever you make a quarterback change, it can divide a team, or it can bring it together. And because of the person that he was, he went back over to playing inside receiver for us. Had a great year, and then that was the run that we went on. And Kyler talks about being as nervous. He was probably more nervous when he got to go in and throw his first pass. Was that the opening game against South Lake Carroll? I think the stadium seats like 18,000. I think there was like 22,000 people there. He said that was probably the most nervous he'd ever been playing football. So, but the years with Kyler is awesome. I mean, he's a great person. We still stay in touch, and so I'm looking forward to him playing up in Minnesota this next year. It'd be fun to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah, it's so funny. I just posted, as we're doing this kind of 15-year relive. I put up his huddle video from his senior year, and I mean, we all know what he did after, because of course Saturdays and Sundays you get to see him a little bit more than there at Allen. But he was a human highlight film back then. I mean, do you remember any one or two plays where you're like, that's not even human what he just did?
I mean, it was almost every game there was something. So people ask me that, I said, heck, I can't even really pinpoint a one play, but there were so many, and there were years where we weren't as good defensively, and we had to play offense. I mean, we played some games that were 60 to 55 and 60 to 50. I mean, we played some high scoring games, and and he was making highlights in every one of them. And people would ask, well, he can't do it at the next level. Well, he did. Then they say, well, he can't do it at the next level. Well, he did. And so, and he keeps on doing it. So, there's really not really one play. It's just a bunch that he had made for us throughout that run.
Who were some of the other kids on the team for the people around the country? Like I said, you had an enormous amount of talent. Yes, it helped to be having him as your trigger man, but you had some guys that could do a lot of different things on both sides of the ball.
He was our probably our 2013 team probably had the most players that played uh, at the next level and then into the NFL. We had two offensive tackles, and people said Kyler couldn't see over the line. Well, we had NFL offensive tackles. We had Greg Little, who played in the NFL. We've had Bobby Evans, who played in the NFL. And our center was Tijon Karoma, and he ended up playing 4 years at BYU, and then was on the Kansas City Chiefs team as a free agent, and ended up tearing up his knee, and then didn't make it back to the NFL. But also you had Jalen Guyton, who played several years in the NFL, and so he was, and then we had a bunch of others that from the defensive side of the ball. Tay Evans, Bobby Evans' brother, played at OU. Chad Adams played at Arizona State. He was a safety. Had another corner, Naomi Alutu, played at Northern Illinois. So I mean, we had guys that played a lot of places.
Yeah. And when you opened the stadium, if memory serves me correctly, you guys started playing some out of state opponents too, which now Duncanville plays, DeSoto plays out of state. But weren't you the kind of the first school to really on a regular basis open up your non-league, your non-district league schedule?
We did. We had uh,
I was
there was a
thinking Dutch
guy that
Fork. Dutch Fork, maybe I was thinking or something like that.
we did. We played Dutch Fork, South Carolina, and I mean that was a 58-55 game. Uh, so we did play some out of state schools.
Yeah, I remember.
They came in and played. Uh, we had a marketing director that brought them in and played.
Yeah, I do remember those games, and then just the stadium, like you said, that got you a lot of headlines. Even the year after that, you got you some more headlines. But what was that like? To have and again, we know it's the land of Friday Night Lights. We know the great stadiums. We know the shutting down of communities. But I mean, you guys literally put it to the through the roof there. What was that like as that stadium was being built, and then the first year to be coaching and directing your kids in it?
The stadium was fun. We got a lot of publicity because it was the first really big high school stadium, uh, and the it wasn't positive publicity that we got, and we were building it during a time where Texas economy was kind of in a recession. But what people didn't understand was uh, people needed work. And so we actually got to build it for, not as much as they're being built now per seat. And so we, we built the stadium, and we got interviewed by Wall Street Journal and the Boston Globe and New York Times. They all were coming down trying to find out about Friday Night Lights and why we were building the stadium. And then, as like I said, when we opened it up with South Lake Carroll, who had never beaten before. We ended up shutting them out, beat them 24-0. Kenny Hill was their starting quarterback, and he ended up going on and playing, and now coaching in college. But had 22,000 people there, and we didn't fill it like that every game. But when the games were big, it was packed, and they've hosted tons of playoff games, and just being able to walk out and practice in that stadium was top notch, first class, because we practiced in it every day.
Yeah, and I live right down the road from the Taj Mahal they just built in Buford, Georgia here, and they keep trying to say it's better than yours, but I'm even though you're the old guys on the block, whether you're the OGs, it's still
Yep.
I still think it's better, but that just gets people mad at me here in Georgia, so I'll just stay with it. The one thing I do remember the first time I got a tour though of the stadium, and I think you had already left by the time I got there, was the I think it's under the visitor stands, right? The weight room. For some
Yeah.
reason, that seemed like that stretched from the 20 to the 20. I mean, how big is
It
that weight room? I mean, it was massive.
I don't remember the exact square footage size, but it was long and skinny, and it was its own room under the stadium. and it probably went from close to about the 15 to the 15, somewhere in there. And it was that was nice. I mean, to have that weight room in there. We had a smaller one up in our indoor facility. We had a smaller weight room there. And then there's another really big weight room, which is on the freshman campus now. That's where we used to lift and during the summers and stuff and do our off season. But that weight room was first class. Well, and then on the other side, the wrestling room was on the home side, and you know Jerry Best, who's the wrestling coach, has built just
Oh yeah.
a power. I think they've won. I think they just won their 14th or 15th state championship. Oliver Pierce, who I talked about, the quarterback from 2012, he's coaching at Melissa right now in wrestling. He's a wrestler, and he's coaching in Melissa, and I think they won the state championship a couple of times. So the wrestling room was nice, and then our golf team had a practice area underneath there also.
And if I remember correctly, getting a lot of calls from various people from the community and just the love. I mean, that community loved the Eagles, but they just loved the sports programs there. How would you describe that community support for the kids?
Oh, it was huge. Uh, it's good and it's bad. You're right. It's like
Yeah.
anywhere. When you set that bar up there, boy, they love it. But then that's the expectation. So, but no, they support their programs probably better than anybody. And showing up, and whether it's baseball, softball, basketball. Basketball's won state championships. Uh, the golf team has won state championships. The uh, wrestling has won multiple state championships. So they really love their sports and support their kids.
Yeah. And like you said, with that comes a little bit of pressure. You know a little bit about what that
Yeah.
pressure is like on those shoulders. But I mean, here's my question though, and I love this, and I don't get to talk to Texas coaches, daily or weekly or anything, but when I get them here on the podcast, the one thing that I like to point out is how good the profession is treated there, how it's revered, and just how the profession's different. And I'm not being disrespectful to the other 49 states, but I do think Texas does it right down to having the coaches in the classroom and all that. Just talk in general, if you will, about your feeling, the amount of time you spend in the profession there and all that. I know you're retired now, but how do you view the Texas coaching profession from the inside?
It's it's really good. I mean, the amount of what you can do for kids and what they allow you to do for kids. You have to be a, a full-time employee of the school district, and so all of our coaches were teachers and all forms of fashion. We had math teachers, English teachers, history teachers. We had PE teachers. We had a little bit of everything, and and it really starts from our coaching association. And you said you may visit with Joe Martin, who is now the executive director of the coaching association, and what they've done for our coaches in the state of Texas is unbelievable. The association, I don't know how many members they have in it now, maybe 20 to 20 some thousand members in the association, and just what they do. Their motto is helping coaches for helping kids through coaches, and the school district. We had a great administration that supported our coaches and supported us, and that's really the key. And we had an athletic director, Steve Williams, who is retired now, and but what he did for the athletic department and what he did for the coaches and supporting them and helping them with their programs was the standard. It was top notch, and so he and I are still great friends and visit from time to time. But just in the state, and then in certain parts of the state, I've gotten to coach in a couple of different areas. In certain parts of the state, it's different. I've coached down in the Houston area, and it's a little bit different feel, the coaching part of it, than the Dallas area. I mean, in my opinion, because I've been up there and I've been in Houston, I've been a little bit in Central Texas. The Dallas area, you're probably under a little more scrutiny as a coach.
Yeah.
They cover high school sports up there, kind of like they cover the Cowboys and the Mavericks and the Rangers and the Stars. They cover like they cover their professional teams. They cover the high school teams that way, and so you're probably under a little more scrutiny. Where Houston is the third or fourth largest, city in the nation, and you know, high school sports isn't at the very top when
Right.
it comes to coverage, but in the Dallas area, it really is. And so, uh, it's fun. It was fun the time that I had up there. We really enjoyed it. Like I said, the relationships with the people and all that was awesome.
Yeah, and yeah, I was thinking about this as you were talking about that, just trying to figure out how to wrap this up here. And one of the things I remember, and maybe my memory's bad, 65 years old, sometimes it gets a little whiffy on you, but
I
your
hear you.
the 16, so you go 12, 13, 14, the 15 team, you guys had another good run after Kyler. Did you go state semis or I'm trying to remember
We
now.
we were undefeated and got beat in the semifinals.
Okay, I thought
And
so.
so, and then that was the year I left and went down to Barbers Hill.
Right.
And then Terry Gamble, a good friend of mine, took over and he went to the semifinals and then went undefeated and won it the next year. Uh, so won it 3 years and then semifinals, and then won it the next year. And then I think he got beat in the second round of the playoffs the next couple of years, and then he was out.
Yeah, no,
So,
and,
yeah,
it's funny you got beat in the second round here, but it's coming back. I mean, you guys, I shouldn't say you guys. The Eagles finished highly ranked last year. I think they were somewhere around 30 or whatever, so it's coming back.
yeah,
So
I think they were 14-1. I still keep up with them a little bit. Lee
yes,
Wigginton's doing a good job there,
he is.
and I've go back to a Hall of Fame ceremony every once in a while, and so they have those up in the fall, and so I'll go back and I caught a game. Uh, I think it was maybe last year. So, anyways, it was fun. I hadn't been back in a while, so I got a chance to stay there and catch a game, and then I watch them whenever they're on. You can pretty much watch anything now on the computer, so we're
Yeah,
good.
you can take the guy out of the Eagles, but maybe not the Eagles out of the guy. I don't know, something a little
That's
like
right.
that,
I'll
coach.
always I'll always be an Allen Eagle. It was fun. I mean, we had such a phenomenal time up there. And like I said, the relationship. We were, our group, our coaches that there's a nucleus that were there from with that came in with Joe, stayed with me, and then stayed with Terry, and then now some of them, have gone on and retired, and some are still there teaching. So it's just fun. We're on a group chat, so we visit from time to time.
Well, that's great. Well, Coach, I just want to thank you. You welcomed us. We were kind of the new guys on the block. Now we're the OGs next to Max Prep, so maybe USA Today that doesn't do as much of it. But you were always so gracious to me, and it really, from the bottom of my heart, it helped launch what we do today, and it's very important to me. And I've just enjoyed talking to you and kind of reliving a little bit of the glory days. I guess a little music in the background, glory days coming on.
That's right. Like I said, it's fun. You don't really get to enjoy it while you're doing it just
Yeah.
because of it's the grind of you're finished that one now. All right, now we're getting ready to go for the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one, and so the grind happened, and then now that I've been retired 2 seasons now, and playing a little golf, and now I can do this and enjoy it, relive it, and
Is the
go
handicap
catch.
good? The handicap good? Is it coming down a little bit?
Oh, it's coming down a little bit. I've played golf my whole life, and people say you can't coach and be good at golf. I just laugh because, uh, like I said, I've played it ever since I was the youngest in my family, and I was the only boy. So I was the youngest of five and the only boy, and so my dad took me to the golf course with him, and so that's what I got to do growing up. So like I said, I played, and boy, I can drive out of here, out of my house in a golf cart, and I'll be on the golf course in about 2 or 3 minutes. So
That's what retirement's about. I'm hoping one day to get to that. I live on a golf course, but I don't play enough. But maybe I'm sandbagging my handicap. I don't know.
there you go, there you go. I appreciate everything you guys have done for the publicity of high school sports and football, and really enjoyed visiting with you.
Thanks, Tom. I really appreciate it, Coach. Best of luck, and hopefully that maybe you get on the senior tour. Who knows? Little golf.
No, no.
All right.
I'll
Thank
stay
you.
right here playing at my club. I won't worry about any of that stuff. Those guys are too good.